back of the room is one of the great coaches that I had in my career, and that's Wayne Clinton. To this day, my proudest sports accomplishment is winning a state championship with that Ames High team back in 1991, and Wayne Clinton was the orchestrator behind that team. He had us playing the right way. I learned a ton from him, and I'm excited to be back here. I'm going to lean on you for some advice. Okay? And also Jim Hallahan, who I see back here, who was John. Start out today by thanking President Joffrey and Jamie Pollard for the opportunity of a lifetime. I haven't slept or eaten in 2 days because of the excitement that I felt. I was lying in bed, wide awake the other night, and my stomach was just turning thinking about this opportunity. I went downstairs at about 3 a.m. to get in the internet and read some articles, and when I got downstairs, there's my wife sitting in the chair in front of the computer. She said, "You can't sleep either, huh?" Both of us being raised in Ames, we saw the opportunity to come home and make our dreams come true. I remember about 13 years ago when I came back it was a Kansas game. We came back over All-Star Weekend, and Carol was pregnant with our first child. And Mayor Larry Curtis gave me a key to the city that day. And when I was out before the game, I stood up in front of the crowd and gave a little speech. What I said to the crowd that day was, my goal one day is to come back and coach my child in front of the greatest fans of the planet. That day seems like yesterday. My daughter will be 13 in a couple months, and that just freaks me out. But here I am, realizing my dreams. I want to thank my family. Let me start with my parents, Eric and Karen. Taught me at an early age how to set my priorities. They always made me get my school, I didn't appreciate it at the time, but they always made me get my schoolwork done before I was able to go out and play sports. They taught me that a proper education would carry me in life, and that has absolutely been the case. My players will go to class, and I will put them on the right path to graduate. I've seen a lot of horror stories over the years, especially being in the NBA for 15 years, about players coming in and thinking they're one-and-done players, they don't go to class, and they ruin that chance to get a proper education. I will not let that happen to my guys. I want to thank my brothers. First of all, Steve. Steve's over in Europe right now. I sent Steve an email 2 nights ago, and I said, don't come home unless you got a couple 7-foot Serbians for me. I want to thank Steve. He was the one that beat up on me when I was growing up, and gave me my competitive spirit. My younger brother Andrew and his wife Kristen, who are in Ames, they live here. I can't tell you how happy I am to be back in the same town as my younger brother. Next, I want to introduce my kids. Start with Paige. Here's a little story about Paige. When I was playing for the Pacers, it was my second year in Indiana. And all Cyclone fans will remember this game. It was an NCAA tournament game where Iowa State played UCLA. I had the great pleasure of playing with Reggie Miller for 4 seasons, a great UCLA grad. Reggie and I had a small wager on that game. If Iowa State won, Reggie would have to show up all week in Cyclone gear. If UCLA won, I would have to, we didn't know if we were having a boy or a girl, I would have to name my firstborn either Reggie or Regina. Ty said he drives full court, knocks J.C. Holloway into the stanchion, and here's my daughter, Regina. Next, I want to introduce my son, Jack. Jack just turned 11 in March, and he couldn't be more excited about the opportunity to come back here. He's thrilled that I'm going to be the head coach at Iowa State University, and he's going to help me out. Okay, he's going to start, hopefully we'll have him as a ball boy next year, but I won't let him sit underneath the basket like I will with a hornacek sprain his ankle and sit on my foot. Next are my twins, Sam and Charlie. My wife and I debated about the about a third child. We both come from families of three. Carol has 2 siblings, a sister and a brother, Paul and Susan. And we decided to go for it. We decided to go for that third child. We got the bonus child. And I couldn't be more thrilled. It's absolutely been phenomenal watching these guys being raised. I'll tell you what, they are absolutely pumped about coming to Ames. I think mostly the fact that they get to play golf against their grandfathers, who they're better than both of us. Lastly, I want to thank my wife, Carol. We've been together for 21 years now. We started dating when I was a sophomore in high school, and she was a senior. I know I'm going to have to lean on her a lot through this process, and I've leaned on her a lot all my life, ever since we've been together since I was 16 years old. Through heart surgery, through some scary times after that, through playing in the NBA and being on the road as much as I was. I know that there's a lot of times where she's going to feel like a single parent while I'm going through this process. I'm going to do all I can to balance a family life and a life in this business. But thank God we're in Ames, where we've got 4 grandparents that we're going to be able to I had an opportunity to sit down with them last night. We met at about 10:30 over at the practice facility. And I laid out some of my initial expectations. I told them if they show me a strong work ethic, if they defend, and if they play their tails every second they're on the floor, then they can play for me. I told them I will communicate with them and let them know exactly what is expected of them on a daily basis so we don't have any confusion. They may not always like what I have to say, but I feel that's the best way to go about this business. As far as the style of play, I would like to play up-tempo. I want to get easy baskets before the defense gets set. It's too hard to grind it out on a nightly basis against the physical play in the Big 12 Conference. However, I also understand there will be nights where we have to slow the tempo and execute in the half court. I know we're probably not going to go into Texas next year 110 to 104. That probably won't happen. We have to have a style where we can play 2 separate ways, where we can get out and run in transition and space the floor properly. I talked to Deontay a lot about that, as far as getting the floor spaced, where he's going to have a lot of early opportunities to get into the lane and make plays. I think he's a tremendous guard with the ball, and we have to have the proper spacing. That is an absolute must, and we will have that. The guys will know where to be on the floor at all times, and we have people that will make plays. I'm going to run a simple offense. It will be based on spacing, setting solid screens, and hard cuts. I want to talk a little bit about Hilton Coliseum. I can't tell you how thrilled I am to be coming home to the place where I played college basketball. I remember one of my very first NBA practices. Larry Brown was my first coach with the Pacers. He said that Hilton Coliseum was the hardest arena that he ever had to coach in. And Larry Brown's been coaching for a long time. He's been coaching since the last turn of the century. In fact, Hilton Coliseum was the only arena in the Big 8 Conference where Larry Brown never won a Big 8 Conference game. And that's saying something. Fans, I want that atmosphere back. I need that atmosphere back. And it's time to bring the magic back to Hilton Coliseum.